Tappei has just released Arc 9 Chapter 15, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. I highly recommend you check out my Arc 9 Chapter 14 summary. Anyways, let's begin. I have got your father in the hands of one of my comrades. When Aldebaran played this trump card, he realized his own defeat. 132,044 attempts. Al counted every attempt, a habit instilled in him by a witch. This was the second time in his life that the number had grown to be so large, and once again Al was defeated. He laid plans and had endless opportunities to refine his strategy, but he still lost. How weak his heart must be, he thought. A weakness worse than his lack of talent and absence of love. After countless trials, he had dealt damage to Reinhard. Even with Reinhard's arms mangled, he was stronger due to the divine blessing of bloodshedding. And on top of that, Reinhard's expression never wavered. I get it, Aldebaran says. In all of his attempts, Reinhard's expression never changed. But this time it did. Reinhard asks if Al is telling the truth, and Al tells Reinhard to use Crucia's Wind Reader blessing to detect lies. Reinhard objects. Al asks if it's too much trauma from taking someone else's blessing. Al felt his defeat solidly, however he decided to attack Reinhard's heart instead, and it did work. Al states he prepared everything to fight Reinhard, choosing the location and even using Volcanica. Al says that Reinhard's father worked with the princess, referring to Priscilla, saying that there was many opportunities for him to be exploited. Al says he's only asking for Reinhard to let him walk away. Al states that by removing 2 rule-bending fighters will allow Felt to become the royal candidate and win it and become king. Reinhard states that Felt wouldn't want to win in this way, and Al says that if she did, she would have won the contest a long time ago. The entire negotiation was a farce. Aldebaran knew that Reinhard would never let him go. However, Al orchestrated this for a reason. There was a shift in the air, what Al was waiting for, which would end the unending fight. Reinhard, half a second behind, sensed it and became weary. The Witch of Envy. The watchtower wasn't for the stage or for the witches' knowledge, it was to seal the Witch of Envy, and with that the scene changed. Petra bandaged. Flam explains that Al merely restrained her so she is uninjured, and Petra shuddered at Flam mentioning Al's name. Meili then asks if they're done and comments on how both Ezo and Garfiel look like mummies. Petra says that they are badly injured and badly burned, and that none of them have healing magic. Meili states that when she was bandaging Elsa, she didn't really know what she was doing and sort of did it randomly. If Garfiel was awake, he could heal the others. Garfiel was the first to fall. No, it was Subaru and Beatrice that had disappeared, so Al must have subdued them first. Meili and Petra discuss what happened to Subaru and Beatrice's bodies. After all, their bodies were missing. Meili believes that the helmet guy took them somewhere because it's extremely hard to destroy a corpse into dust. Flam says they'll get to the bottom of it because Reinhard will solve the situation. Petra says that she won't forgive Al, like how she doesn't forgive Roswell or for those in the Empire who harmed him. They suggest taking Garfiel to the ground to allow him to fully heal using his divine blessing, and Flam says that she'll bring Ezo so that they're not separated and they can do everything at once. Flam picks up Ezo and Garfiel extremely easily. Petra then checks Subaru's bag and finds a Book of the Dead inside. Petra looks at the spine and notices that she cannot read it. The name had been scraped and scratched off. Petra knew that Subaru had hidden this book so no one else could see it. Emilia then asks what Petra is doing, and Petra explains that there's a book of the dead in Subaru's bag. Petra believes the book has a hint on what's happening now and wants to read it. Emilia says that is extremely dangerous. Al, after all, had a goal of reading Priscilla's book. Maybe Subaru hid this book, and that's the reason why Aldebaran and Subaru's relationship fractured. Petra is sure that the book holds the answer. Petra tells Emilia that she'll leave it to her if anything happens. Petra then opens the book and witnesses a forbidden memory of the world. The scene changes. What exactly would happen, Aldebaran wasn't exactly sure, but the three girls were more mature than their age. After treating Otto and Garfiel, Aldebaran knew that the girls would move forward and not languish in despair, so Aldebaran laid a trap. As they moved forward, they would eventually find Aldebaran's trap, a single book of the dead, Natsuki Subaru's Book of the Dead. For girls with no guideposts, they would automatically see the book and believe it was some sort of message left to them by Subaru. Of course, they had no idea that this was actually part of Aldebaran's trap. A book in defiance of the world, a true taboo. What would happen if someone tried to decode it? Reinhard's eyes were wide. If Reinhard was blessed by the world, then this person was cursed by the world. Blessings and curses were two sides of the same coin, neither stronger or weaker than the other. Aldebaran says that only Reinhard can stop it. Aldebaran sits cross-legged in the sand. The touching the taboo invites the Witch of Envy into the world. Al tells Reinhard that if Reinhard wants to fight him, he will continue to resist. But if Reinhard doesn't go and stop the Witch of Envy, the world will be destroyed. Al says that even if the world dies, he will not, as the Witch of Envy doesn't care for him. It was for that reason why Al could not trigger the taboo. Al says he doesn't want the world to be destroyed. In fact, he wants to save the world. Al says he won't harm Reinhard's father and tells Reinhard to go. Reinhard says that everything won't go towards Al's plan. Reinhard then dashes away, colliding with the witch's miasma that was threatening the Pleiades watchtower. Al was illuminated by light and heat. The impacts continued as the eternal and the indestructible battled. What happened? The voice asked. Dragon Al gets up and he looks across the sand. Oh, it worked out, it seems. It seems I managed to do it. Al says even though the witch is half awake and Reinhard is weakened, it was worth crossing 130,000 battles. Al asked if Dragon Al can fly, and Dragon Al says that his mana is limited, but he can fly. As Dragon Al picks up Al, a pebble flies in their direction, and Dragon Al blocks it. We see that Reinhard threw the pebble to stop Al from escaping. So as Reinhard fights the Witch of Envy, he's also throwing rocks at Aldebaran to stop him from escaping. Reinhard truly was a hero. As Dragon Al flew away with Aldebaran in his claws, Aldebaran says, "See Reinhard? I win, even if I lose 130,000 times." The sight of Reinhard fighting against the cataclysmic wave was that of a martyr that bitterly would be the only one left in a world already destroyed. And with that, the chapter ends. So this was a masterful chapter. So it seems that Aldebaran never had a chance of winning against Reinhard. He just planned on Petra or one of the girls to read Subaru's Book of the Dead, which would trigger Satella, well, the Witch of Envy, waking up, and that would cause Reinhard to be deadlocked with the Witch of Envy as they fought. So Petra knows about Return by Death because she read Subaru's Book of the Dead. We don't know exactly what loop it is, but it's obvious that Aldebaran knows of Return by Death, but for some odd reason, the Witch of Envy doesn't want to go for Al. I believe the Witch of Envy will only go for Al if he triggers it. So if he reads the Book of the Dead, then the Witch of Envy would come for him. That's the reason why he can't be the person to trigger it. And so he gets Petra and the rest of them to trigger it. But yeah, amazing chapter. Arc 9 is probably the best one.